I just played The Legend of Zelda Hyrule Warriors Age of Imprisonment early, and yeah, I'm gonna be honest, I'm a little tiny bit worried about how I feel about this game and just the game in general. So you might be asking, how did I play it early? Well, based on the footage, as you can see, I'm playing it at a Best Buy kiosk. So first of all, if you don't know, Nintendo has a lot of these kiosks, a lot of these Nintendo Switch 2 stations that you can just go check out and play the Switch 2 at. There's some at Walmart, a lot of them are at Targets in the United States, and you also got some demos at Best Buy. That being said, I went to a Best Buy and there was a demo that I could actually play. Now, to be fair, this is a demo. I gotta give it some grace, so just understand that. My part two of the fact that it's at a demo is, as you can see, the footage, it's not very good. I actually went to Best Buy for a completely different reason, and I forgot that these demos were released. I just went for an SD card. I was looking around, decided to look at the Nintendo Switch 2 section, and I'm like, wait, they have a demo? Let me see if they updated the kiosk to have Hyrule Warriors on it. And sure enough, Hyrule Warriors was on that Nintendo Switch 2 in the Best Buy. So I'm like, oh my goodness, this is perfect. I'll be able to play it, and then I can make a Russ Vandy 2 video on my experience. I've played almost every first-party Nintendo game early at a demo of some sort. PAX West, I was able to play Pokemon and Kirby Air Riders early, but oddly enough, there was no demo for this game. I'm actually surprised there was no demo for this game at PAX West or literally any other event, especially considering this is a pretty chunky Zelda game. So it's weird that it wasn't available to play at any of these places that I've been playing games early this year. So that being said, is there a reason that they're hiding this from us, from influencers? I honestly think so a little bit. So let me tell you about my experience playing this game and if I'm still going to pick it up on November 6th when it releases. So yes, if you didn't realize, this game is releasing in just a week. This game's coming out next week. So it makes sense that we're seeing this demo early. They actually did this with Donkey Kong Bonanza 2. And I gotta say, first of all, I have never been a huge fan of the Hyrule Warriors games. I find that they are always pretty repetitive in some cases. They're just like major hack and slash games, but yeah, I just don't really find them to be that super duper fun. However, I think my experience with Hyrule Warriors games shouldn't be fully trusted, as I've only played Hyrule Warriors games on the Nintendo Switch 1, and we all know that the Switch 1 versions of the Hyrule Warriors games run horribly. They don't run very well at all. In fact, getting a game to run at 30 frames per second was almost impossible. These games constantly hitched, and I'm sure that altered my experience a little bit. I still don't really love the core of the gameplay anyways, but every single time a Hyrule Warriors game comes out, I always try my best to just get into it the best I can. I always try so hard. I like lock in for a good day and just try to experience it. And then what happens is I say, okay, that wasn't that bad. And then I come back the next day and then I just don't turn it on. I just don't play it. I'm hoping that changes with this one. I say that every time, but I hope this time I actually follow through. I beat the whole game. Now the game itself, let's actually get into it because it's the exact same as all the other Hyrule Warriors games. Like, let's be real. It's a hack and slash. You can change characters that are in your party. They all have really unique abilities. It's really flashy. You know, it's really satisfying to get all of these creatures flying around. But yeah, like I said, it's all the same. Now, some things I really like about this game is the fact there's just so much going on. I love how there's just so many enemies that you just fly around. That it really is satisfying. And I think the amount of work that they put into this when it comes to like combos and fighting is very impressive as well. I can't believe how many combos you can do. There are also so many items you can use. There seems to be a lot of characters. I used 3 characters. I used Rauru, you know, the big goat man. I played as Zelda, and then I played as the other, you know, the goat Zelda, whatever her name is. I played as all these characters, and they all have very unique fighting styles. They all feel very different, and I gotta give it props for just how dynamic and interesting the gameplay is for this. And I find that with every Hyrule Warriors games, there always is so many characters to play as. There's so many different fighting styles, and you can really just make it your own in that kind of way. And yeah, it's just so dynamic. It's insane. And finally, I will say the Hyrule Warriors on the Switch 2 is good in terms of performance and graphics compared to the, you know, the last couple Hyrule Warriors games. Playing this game on the Switch 2 really makes a massive difference. Obviously, the Switch 2 is a lot more powerful. You know, it uses the SSD. It's got a 1080p display and all that stuff. So yes, this game is going to look better, but the massive, big thing is that it plays at 60 frames per second, which I didn't even realize made as much of a difference as it does. Like, it makes a huge difference when it comes to this. It's actually even more satisfying. I feel like I actually understand what I'm doing and what the buttons are doing. With the Switch 1 version of these games, of any Hyrule Warriors games, I would just spam the button, and because it's 30 frames per second, it might feel a little bit more like there's more latency on the Switch 1, especially the amount that it hitched. So I feel like I'm actually actively fighting moving, and it just feels like there's not as much latency, and I know what I'm doing with the 60 frames per second. I click a button and something happens, which I just didn't feel was happening in the Switch 1 Hyrule Warriors games. But not only does the 60 frames per second feel and look a lot better, but also the resolution is really good. It seems a little bit pixelated. It doesn't seem like it's going at a full 1080p on the handheld screen that I played on, but still it's noticeably sharper. The textures are a lot better. There's a lot more visual effects going on. And I think all that just really ties this up into a nice tiny bow. Now, it might not be the easiest to tell how good the graphics and performance are because my camera angle, I had to kind of makeshift a tripod because there was nobody with me. Also, there's like lights glaring from the kiosk and then the ceiling as well. Also, the Switch 2 is a little dirty. That's something I hate about these kiosks. You never know who touched them. I got Lysol out as soon as I was done playing with them. But the thing that worries me the most about this game is the fact that, I don't know, I didn't really care that much. Like, it didn't excite me to play the game when it releases on November 6th. There's nothing that really makes it stand out in a way that changes drastically from the last Hyrule Warriors games. I think the storyline's going to be okay. I think that it'll be interesting enough to get me through to the end, but it's not like crazy. Not that it really matters, but also Link isn't in it and has nowhere to be seen. And Link's like the main protagonist in, every Legend of Zelda game, even though the title doesn't exactly show that. I think it might be lacking all that Linkness that everybody likes. I think for that reason, it might actually sell a little bit less because it doesn't have Link in it. I also just think the first level wasn't that good. Like, this was clearly the first level or like one of the first sections of the game, and I was in like a cave, and I just don't think the cave really showed off how good the graphics can be. It was also kind of dark. I kind of wanted to turn the display up on the screen, but I can't in the Best Buy kiosk. I think if it was like outside, all you were doing was blasting these enemies, it would have been a really fun demo. Oh, also there's like a boss section. That was fun. The majority of the game was me trying to figure out these combos. The demo was only like 10 minutes. I was just spamming buttons, to be honest, trying to figure out the combos, but I was also just spamming things. So I don't know. It doesn't really make me very super duper interested to pick up the game on November 6th. I'm going to do it anyways because I want to cover it on my channel. And let me know what you think about this game so far. Let me know if you've seen a demo and if you've played it, and just what your thoughts are on the game in general. So thanks for listening to my first impressions, I guess. And I'll see you in the next one. See you later. Like and subscribe as well. Okay, bye.